guys. Welcome to another week of Fresco and Drew's Weekly Fantasy News. We're back from our 1 week hiatus. I'm your host, Drew. As you see that our regular co-host, Fresco, is not here right now. He had to handle some business. But we do have a special guest today, Nelson, a.k.a. Nelly Goodell.
Hey, Nelly Goodell.
Yes, sir.
Running the best fantasy football league out here, 12-man PPR. You know what we do.
Yes, sir. That's what I wanted to talk about, actually. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, just tell the people how you got into the whole fantasy thing.
Oh, interesting. All right, so I come from a family that does a lot of gambling.
Okay.
So my family loves gambling, and honestly, I couldn't really get into the whole gambling, blackjack, all of that.
Okay.
But I like to gamble money with sports.
Blood,
Exactly, it was in my blood.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? I think there's an opportunity to do this with sports. I was real savvy with picking NFL picks, NBA picks, MLB picks, but I wanted to step it up a notch. So I started to do more player research, and that's when I started to get into fantasy football.
Okay.
When I realized I was, actually pretty good at putting a team together, composing different kind of teams. I was like, you know what? Let me actually bet some money on this. So it was 2016 when I started running my first fantasy league, and then after that, we run one of the best. We won one of the best leagues, man. It's been great.
All right, cool. So this is my my second year in your league now.
Mm-hmm.
You said you've been running leagues since 2016. How long have you been playing fantasy just in general?
Okay, so in general, I've been playing since seriously since 2014.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of mock. I was doing a lot of just different leagues just for fun. But I never really took it serious. But when I started actually doing my research, because it's a difference between actually knowing football and then knowing fantasy football.
Yeah.
For sure. A lot of people out here claim they know football, but in reality, they only know fantasy football numbers.
Okay.
Me, I take pride in actually knowing about football, so I kind of struggled, just tapping into the fantasy football world just because it's not the same. The stats don't translate the same,
Nah,
So
I feel
just
you.
because a player is effective on a real football field does not mean he's a good football fantasy player.
Yeah, nah, I feel you, because originally when I first started playing fantasy, I can't remember the actual year it was, but I know me and my little brother used to play fantasy football all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And my first pick or his first pick, whoever got the pick, whoever had the highest pick, we would always go for Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady was known as the best player.
Yeah.
So we would always, I'm gonna get Tom Brady, you get Peyton Manning, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season, we were finishing 7th, 8th place. Why? We didn't understand. So
when you think about it at that time,
that makes sense to you.
who's probably number one? Michael Vick. A Donovan McNabb. Those kind of Steve McNair. Those kind of players are definitely the kind of players that probably dominated fantasy football at the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't know much.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. So that makes sense.
But I hear you on that. I would want with Tom Brady too, probably.
Yeah, but as you get older and as you understand the game more, the fantasy game more, you understand that's not the pick. That's not the person that you.
And then sometimes even when I'm talking football, I catch myself talking fantasy, but it's bro, it's two different categories,
two different worlds, basically.
Two different complete
fantasy
worlds.
and reality, basically.
Exactly.
All right, but I also wanted to touch on your current fantasy leagues. How many leagues are you currently in?
I'm currently in 3 leagues.
Okay.
I run my own, and then I'm in 2 other leagues, $50 leagues, nothing too serious.
All right. And how are you doing so far?
Wow. So the most success I've been having is in my own league, and the other 2 leagues I'm 1 and 3. However, I'm known for just having slow starts.
Yeah.
The way I build my teams is actually for the end of the season, and that's a bad habit I have. I tend to pick players that I know are going to be more efficient towards the end of the year. Hence why I'm big on the Todd Gurley right now.
Yeah.
Because I know his workload is not as much, but
that
end of the year.
Excuse me. I want to touch on that actually, because Todd Gurley is kind of he's kind of like an enigma right now. Like,
He's definitely an enigma.
He's never been this type of player in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
Like Todd Gurley's been a workhorse his whole career. So, excuse me, my chest is like, I don't know what's going on, but like yeah, like you said that about Todd Gurley, but like this year, like his numbers have been crazy. Like we were talking about earlier, how he had 5 carries for 16 yards earlier. I mean, like last game, but he still put up 26 fantasy points. So it's just like I don't understand him.
You look at the box score, you're like, Todd Gurley had a crappy game. Yeah, he had a very poor game. But you go on the fantasy app and you see that he put up 26, 27 points. You're like, okay, never mind. However, it's not a good game. He was very ineffective. He was in the game mostly as a passing running back. However, a catching running back. However, even those yards were not as effective as they typically are.
Yeah, so I go on to say to you, like, when you look at that, like, you say, okay, he's catching the ball, but he's not getting the yards. He's running the ball. He ran the ball 5 times for 16 yards. He's not really getting the production. So how do you look at that and say, okay, like, this is a player that I still want on my team? Like,
because then you got to look at the game dynamic. The situation of the game. They were playing from behind. So I'm not discouraged by the fact that he only had 5 rushes. Because, anybody that knows football knows, like, when you're playing from behind, you're not going to run the ball as much. So that's why he had the 7 receptions, But that's why I'm big on catching running backs, especially catching running backs on garbage teams. Like a David Johnson. Yeah. Think about it. David Johnson plays with... They're awful. They're offensively. They're bad.
And he has a rookie quarterback.
He has a rookie quarterback
for that too. If a team has a rookie quarterback, he's checking the ball down every single play. To the running back or the tight end.
The tight end. The tight end or the running back. Hence why Lamar Jackson right now loves Mark Andrews. So a running back like David Johnson, they're playing from behind a lot of the games. Yeah. So what are they gonna do? He's gonna pass short to David Johnson. David Johnson has been killing it this year. 3 out of his 4 games this year, he's actually been targeted 7+ times. Okay. In 3 out of 4 games.
That's a great stat. I didn't know that.
That's what I'm looking for.
He's coming with the stats.
That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So, and that's the difference between like knowing fantasy football and knowing actual football. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I look for. You got to look at different team kind of like game plans and stuff like that,
Okay, but I want to go back to Gurley though, because he's interesting to me this season.
He's the most interesting player in fantasy football.
Yeah, like he's just different. Like he's like this season that he's having is just crazy to me. Mm-hmm. So like you say like you have Gurley because like they're gonna play from behind and they're gonna throw the ball and they're gonna check down the ball to him. But like, how do you know the Rams are gonna do that? Because the Rams have a great defense, number one. They just went to the Super Bowl last year, so I'm thinking that they're going to be blowing people out. They have 3 great receivers.
You'll be surprised. The Rams are actually, if I'm not mistaken, on the low. I think they're like a pretty average defensive team. They give up a lot of passing yards. So I mean, we just seen it this past week against the Bucks.
Where Jameis had a great game, by the way.
Jameis, he chopped them up. But I think sometimes we're really biased when it comes to the Rams because they're so talented on defense. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're I don't consider them a dominant force anymore. Last week, look what happened with the Bucks. I remember last year they was in a shootout with KC.
Yeah.
They were.
Everybody hasn't been in a shootout with KC.
I mean, KC has a pretty awful defense too, though, to be honest.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, but they're gonna put up numbers.
No, yeah, it's a fast-paced game. So, Gurley plays the Seahawks twice. Okay?
Yeah.
But he also plays the Bucks twice.
Okay. So yeah, he's gonna eat.
Pretty bad team right there.
Yeah, he's gonna eat against the Bucks.
Exactly. He's gonna eat against the Bucks. Gurley also plays, if I'm not mistaken, is it the Saints? The Saints are in that division. That's a pretty bad defensive team.
The Saints are in that
That's
division,
a pretty bad defensive team. So 4 of those games are against awful defenses, in my opinion. At least secondaries, and I I don't really think that those teams can actually stop Gurley. So I think about it as schedule as well. Like, okay, who is he facing? Okay, he's very dominant against these kind of teams, and he's dominated Seattle in the past. So that's why I have a lot of faith on Gurley. And just the workload for Gurley will increase as the season goes on. I just think they're trying to nurse the injury right now. The knee was pretty brutal at the end of the year last year, so I just think they're trying to pace it slowly. So when week 8, 9, 10 comes around, it starts to get cold outside, games start to get closer, big games come around, Gurley's ready.
That's a good thought process on that, actually, because I never even thought about that. I was just thinking, like, they just didn't actually need to utilize him like that anymore. Because, like, they were 3-0, they're 3-1 right now with Gurley running the ball 10 times a game. Like, so I'm just thinking, okay, like, that's going to be their new plan with Gurley. They're not going to utilize him like that anymore. Like, how Minnesota uses Stephon Diggs and Thielen, like, they were balling last year and they don't even touch the ball anymore. So
yeah, but you also don't have a Lamborghini in your driveway and don't use it.
I mean, true. True.
So it's kind of like, eventually, you got to put the pressure on. It's like, hey,
tell that to Minnesota because they're not even using their 2 Lamborghinis. So.
They
got a third. They got a third down the Cook.
Listen, it's like they got 3 Lamborghinis and then a Honda Civic with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but like, how many cars can you drive? You can't drive every car.
I feel you.
You can't drive every car. All right, but now let's get into the nitty gritty though.
Let's go.
I want to start with quarterbacks though. So who's your must start quarterback for the week?
So my must start quarterback of the week, surprisingly, it is Jameis Winston. Famous Jameis. Okay.
Jameis Winston against New Orleans.
He plays New Orleans this week. So honestly, that defense is giving up 280 yards a game. That's pretty darn bad. He's coming off 2 back-to-back impressive weeks. He's put up 20 plus fantasy points the past 2 weeks against the Giants and then against the Rams. He was looking pretty good. So and he has a potent offense with Evans and Chris Godwin, bro. Yeah. Like, Evans went for 45 against the Giants, and Godwin went for 42 last week.
Hey,
like,
believe me, I know. Zay, come on the show. Zay, you burn me, man.
He has 2 WR1s out there. And Ronald Jones is looking pretty solid. So I think they have a well-rounded offense. I think Jameis is now getting in the rhythm of things. Jameis is not a scrub. So I think this is a good week for Jameis against a pretty weak, pathetic New Orleans secondary that is starting Eli Apple.
Word.
Eli Apple.
Yeah, you would know as a Giants fan.
Yeah, as a Giants fan, I know about Eli Apple. Trust.
But
who's yours?
Yeah, my quarterback start for the week is Tom Brady.
Okay.
Against the Redskins.
Oh yeah.
The Patriots played Buffalo last week.
Yep.
And Tom Brady probably had the worst game I ever seen him play. Like, the worst game probably in like 10 years I've seen him play.
Without a doubt, yeah.
And I don't know, it's just Tom Brady, it's Belichick. I don't expect that 2 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's going to come back motivated. And they're playing the poor Washington secondary, so he's going to be dumping the ball off, spreading it around. You could probably like book him for like 350 yards, 4 touchdowns.
I could definitely see that
against Washington.
I could definitely see that. I guess the only thing that concerns me with that is that they're going to be blowing them out so fast that they're going to run the ball.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they don't really run the ball in the ring like that. I don't like.
No, I mean, listen, even if he's throwing the ball to his running back, seems right, it's a touchdown,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, but that's still Tom Brady. Like,
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so you're right. Sonny Michel's looking like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like a bust this year.
I don't know about Sonny Michel this year.
Yeah. But that's a good one. I like Tom Brady against the Redskins. I mean, they got Josh Norman over there. Josh Norman can check a porta potty if you ask him to. So
yeah, he's a bust.
He's pretty bad.
Yeah, but who's your bust at quarterback for the week?
So my bust this week at quarterback, I think I'm gonna go with Gardner Minshew III.
Gardner Minshew, that's my guy.
I like him.
Yeah,
but
he's nice.
I think he's the sit down this week. He's playing a Panthers defense, bro, that's giving up only 156 yards a game, passing yards.
Wow, he's coming with the stats. I told you he's coming with the stats.
156 yards per game in passing.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive, okay? And based on Leonard Fournette last game and his complaints after the week 3 loss, I think they're going to incorporate more of the run game.
More running than what he did last week? He ran for 200 yards.
He got like 29 carries for 200-something yards, but 29 carries is a lot. So I think that
you think they're going to incorporate more running?
Oh,
that's
not more than 29, but more than what he was getting the first 2-3 weeks, which is why he got 29 last game.
So probably somewhere between 20 and 25, you think?
I can easily see Leonard Fournette doing that, which is going to take opportunities away from Minshew. So I don't think it's going to be.
But I think that's the thing that's going to help him actually, because they're going to be focused on the run, play action. Hey.
I mean, we'll see. I just think that they understand that their formula of success is more with the run game, so it's going to take opportunities away from him. And he's playing the Panthers defense, who's 156 yards a game, bro. Like, there's teams giving up more rushing yards than that. The Dolphins are giving up 180 yards a game.
The Dolphins are giving up like 400 yards on everything.
Yeah, but believe it or not, so is Kansas City. 400.
No, I know.
Kansas City's giving up 408 yards a game.
They win in shootouts.
Yeah,
they win in shootouts. But
who's your sit down of the week?
We were talking about him earlier. Baker Mayfield against the Niners. The Niners have been one of the sleeper teams actually.
Mm-hmm.
Still undefeated, 3-0 right now.
3-0.
And I just don't trust Baker right now. He doesn't seem to be able to spread the ball around. Even when, like, last week Nick Chubb was going off, I think he had like 165 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But even so, like, he could only get Jarvis Landry into the passing game. Like, with Baker, I feel like he's not able to spread the ball around. So I think the Niners are going to do a great job of just shutting him down. Like,
and the Niners have one of the best defenses.
Yeah, that's the thing. So they're gonna force them to pass.
Yeah.
I feel like, and when you have to rely on Baker making decisions, I don't see that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't see that working.
He's almost like right now a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Is he the new Tony Romo?
I can't say that because I'm a Tony Romo fan.
Okay, yeah. I'm not a big Tony Romo fan.
I mean,
but
as
like,
a Giants fan, I understand that, but
is he an accident waiting to happen?
Nah. The accident waiting to happen in the league right now is Jameis.
I can see that actually.
That's Jameis, yeah.
It's like, oh, he's balling, but he's
then,
eventually gonna do
it.
Yeah, nah, I hear you on that one. I like that one actually.
But do you have a sleeper quarterback for the week?
Oh, I sure do. So I think my sleeper for the week is Jacoby Brissett.
Word. Who did they play?
So Jacoby Brissett this week is playing Kansas City.
Okay.
Kansas City's giving up 260 yards a game, passing yards a game. That's pretty bad. 408 total yards. That's pretty bad. Yo, believe it or not, Jacoby Brissett has been pretty decent this year.
Yeah, I've been looking at his stats.
Bro, he went for 17, he went for 16, then he went for 21 and 23. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Okay, so I'm big on him right now against Kansas City. And to be quite honest, I expect Kansas City to just kind of like put it on them, so they're gonna be playing from behind. Meaning they're gonna be passing.
They have to.
You know, so I just think that it's a good combination for him in fantasy. Now I think he's gonna have a good fantasy game. As far as a real football game, I don't think he's gonna be as efficient. Okay. But I think he's gonna have a real good fantasy week.
So my sleeper for the week is Teddy Bridgewater against Tampa. Okay. I'm not a big Teddy Bridgewater fan, but I watched Tampa last week. I watched Tampa the week before, and they give up points. They give up points, and I feel like as Teddy Bridgewater is the starter for the foreseeable future. So I feel like as long as he gets reps with the number ones in practice, like he's gonna get on the same page with Mike Thomas.
I agree with you.
He's gonna get on the same page with Kamara. like they're gonna make it work. I feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be a shootout with Tampa. So I could easily see Bridgewater putting up an easy 30 fantasy points, just off the strength of, all right, Tampa's gonna throw the ball, they're gonna score. We gotta score real quick. So
yeah, and he benefits from Kamara.
Yeah. So I could just see that being like an easy 30 plus for Bridgewater. So that's my sleeper. If you need a quarterback for the week, aka Ernie, pick him up. Pick up Bridgewater.
Oh man.
But so let's touch on the running backs a little bit.
I think my must start this week, who I already touched on a little bit earlier, my boy David Johnson.
I had the same player right here on paper.
David Johnson, right?
Yeah.
You see that? Hey, great minds think alike. So that kid, David Johnson, he faces the Bengals defense, okay?
Yes.
Who's been giving up the second
You can say all of it right now. I'll get out the camera. It's your time.
He's giving up They're giving up the second most fantasy points to running backs this year. That's pretty darn awful, okay? The Bengals are also giving up 143 rushing yards per game. Bengals, y'all need to stop somebody, okay? David Johnson is receiving 7 targets a game.
He went off last week.
He caught 8 catches last week. 8 receptions last week, okay? The week before that, 6 receptions. Week 1, 6 receptions, okay? So he's averaging 3 out of the last 4 games, 7 receptions a game. That's pretty good for a running back, okay? He has Kyler Murray, who's young, who's inexperienced. Therefore, those kind of quarterbers tend to check downs right here.
Yep. Okay.
That's where I'm going. Go ahead. Yeah. What you was thinking?
I don't even have to say anything. You said it all. That's exactly how I felt about it.
Yeah.
But so who's your sit down for the week? The buzz.
Okay, so my buzz of the week is actually going to be Josh Jacobs. Okay. So Josh Jacobs, he has a tough matchup against the Bears defense.
By the way, I'm not a fan of Josh Jacobs.
I like Josh Jacobs, but I like Josh Jacobs in the real world.
Yeah. I don't like him in fantasy.
I don't like him in fantasy. Okay. That's how I feel about David Montgomery. Yeah. Okay. I like him in the NFL, but I don't like him in fantasy.
Yeah.
So Josh Jacobs, he's playing the Bears defense, who's only giving up 3 yards per carry to running backs this year. That's pretty good and impressive by that defense. So he has a tough matchup, okay? He hasn't gotten more than 20 touches since week 1. So I don't think that's favorable for him. And to be quite honest, I truly believe that the Raiders are going to be playing from behind a good majority of the game, meaning that
majority of this year probably.
Of this year. So they're going to have to be passing more often. So you're going to see, Jalen Richards more often than Josh Jacobs, especially when it comes to second and third downs. Especially, long second and third downs. Who you got?
My bust for the week is actually Todd Gurley.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Todd Gurley
Okay.
Against the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks defense isn't as formidable as it has been, but with the pickup of Clowney and the fact that Gurley's his production is just not there right now. He's not getting the touches that he typically gets. I just don't think that he's going to have a great fantasy game this upcoming week. And I know a lot of people are going to be high on him now because he had the 2 touchdown game last week with the 26 fantasy points. Don't believe in that. Don't ride that wave. Don't listen to that hype. Gurley is not to be started this week. Don't start him.
I'll be quite honest, he's on my squad and he's only at my flex.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not completely sold on Gurley against Seattle.
The flex is the last resort. You just there because I need somebody there.
Yeah, but he might not start this week. I might have James White against the Redskins starting this week.
Yeah. So exactly.
So I hear you.
When have you ever thought? You would have never thought the day would come when you would say, "Oh, I'm gonna start James White over Todd Gurley."
Hey.
Over Gurley. Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, I would have never thought I was gonna say Damian Jones is the future GOAT. So.
Hey, I mean, I've been saying that from the jump. Damian Jones, come on the show. But who's your sleeper running back for the week?
So my sleeper this week is gonna be Joe Mixon. Okay. He faces a Cardinals team that's given up a lot of rushing yards this year, okay? They're giving up 147 yards a game, and honestly, they can't stop any running backs from receiving the ball this year. The Cardinals honestly struggle against running backs that could really catch the ball. So I really think that this is a good opportunity for Joe Mixon. And he's starting to pick it up in fantasy. He's had solid back-to-back weeks. I know it's not.
I don't. Sorry to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
I'm not high on Joe Mixon. Like
I love me Joe Mixon, man. You know why I like Joe Mixon, man? Joe Mixon, he runs hard, okay? And Joe Mixon has a pretty bad offensive line.
Yeah.
And he still finds a way to get his. The past 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, he's ran 15 rushes for 60 yards. That's about 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
That's impressive, okay? That's not bad for a pathetic offensive line. Like, it's blasphemy, the guys that they're sending out there and actually starting. They're actually worse than the New York Giants as far as the offensive unit.
I don't know. I liked when Cincy had Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill. Like, I like that combination.
Okay.
I don't see the fit with Joe Mixon. I don't know. Like, he runs hard, but like he's like I don't want to say he's a Trent Richardson type because that's like the lowest of the low.
That's the lowest of the low.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't see the hype behind Joe Mixon. Like,
I think something about Joe Mixon. I think he's not as good as he thinks he is.
He's not as good as he thinks he is, and he's not as good as Cincy thinks he is. That's the thing. It's like,
but they invested a lot of money.
Yeah, they did. Like
even after his legal troubles,
he's average to me. Like I don't know.
But I think Joe Mixon. This week he's gonna have a big week. He faces the Cardinals. They're pretty bad. Have a pretty bad front line. So it's like I could see him having a pretty awesome week, to be honest. How about you? Who do you have?
I have Zeke against the Packers.
Okay.
Zeke started the season off slow. Slow in terms of like Zeke production.
Zeke production, yeah.
Yeah, he's still averaging like 15 points a game probably in like fantasy, but I expect him to actually like pick it up, like ratchet it up a notch. So, I can't tell you what Zeke's gonna do production wise, but I think he's like a must start kind of. I think they're gonna be playing against the pass. Like, they're gonna be trying to stop Dak because Zeke's been having a slow start in terms of just Zeke production. I could see him going off for like 30 points this week.
I can see that from Zeke, actually.
Yeah, like 120 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 5
especially
receptions.
after the kind of week that they had against the Saints.
Yeah,
and I just feel like
they didn't play well at all. Like, he's going to be motivated.
I could see that.
All right, so we're going to get into our hot takes for the week. So basically what we do is we pick a hot take, any team, any player. We decide what we think is going to happen. Basically, just an outrageous pick. I'm going to let you start with your hot take for the week. What do you think?
Okay, so my hot take for the week, okay?
And I'm going to write it down.
Okay, please write it down. Please, I want you to, okay? So, Daniel Jones, okay? Not the New York Giants.
That's my guy, D. Jones.
Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, Daniel, a.k.a. the future GOAT Jones, okay? Will beat the Minnesota Vikings this week, okay? He's going to come down, game-winning drive. We're going to win by 3 points. And he's going to prove people wrong, okay? He faced a Bucs defense that people try to diminish and say it's not that good. Well, guess what? When we played them, they were top 10, okay? Last week, he played a pathetic Redskins defense, but he showed us some promising moments. This week, he will show up, and he will show the world that Daniel Jones is ready to be a New York Giants forever.
Wow, he's really confident about that. That's my guy too, but I think that's good. I think that's a good hot take. But my hot take for the week, I think that Diggs and Thielen, they're finally both going to go off. They're both going to have a solid week. So when I say that, Diggs and Thielen both 15 plus fantasy points this week.
Okay.
That's my hot take. So we're gonna wrap the show up with that.
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised considering we stink. Okay, we've given up a lot of points to receivers this year, but both takes are in one game, so tune into that game.
Yeah, tune into that game. But any last words before we cut it out?
You'll see me soon. Just know that, okay? And if you want to join the best fantasy 12-man PPR league, holla at me. Nelson Goodell, Nelly Goodell.
All right, that's Nelly Goodell right there. This is Fresco and Drew's Weekly Fantasy News. Thank you for tuning in. We out.
Deuces.